Welcome back. If you haven't watched part 1, stop right now and go watch it because this finale will blow your mind. We left off with Amara finally giving in to temptation with Ryu. What happens next will shock you. Hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications because you do not want to miss a single second of this conclusion. Comment part 2 if you're ready for this emotional roller coaster. Now let's dive back into the story. The kiss consumed Amara like fire consuming paper. Ryu's lips were soft but demanding, moving against hers with practiced skill that made her knees buckle. His hand cupped the back of her neck, tilting her head to deepen the kiss, and when his tongue brushed against her lips, requesting entrance, she gasped, and he took full advantage. Her Bible fell from her hands, hitting the floor with a thud that should have brought her back to reality. It didn't. Nothing existed except his mouth on hers, his other hand sliding to her waist, pulling her against the hard planes of his body. She could feel everything, his heartbeat, his warmth, his desire pressing against her stomach. She should stop this, should push him away, should run. Instead, her hands moved of their own accord, gripping his shirt, pulling him closer. A sound escaped her throat, half moan, half whimper, and she felt him smile against her lips. "That's it," he murmured, breaking the kiss to trail his lips down her jaw. "Stop thinking, just feel." His mouth found the sensitive spot where her neck met her shoulder, and Amara's entire body shuddered. Sensations she'd never experienced flooded through her, heat pooling low in her belly, her skin too tight, her breath coming in short gasps. "Ryu," she breathed, not even sure what she was asking for. He pulled back slightly, his dark eyes searching her face. "We can stop. Right now. You can walk out of here and never come back." I can't." "Choose, Amara." His voice was rough with restraint. "Because if we continue, I'm going to show you things that will ruin you for anyone else. I'm going to touch you in ways you've never imagined. I'm going to make you feel things that will shatter every rule you've been taught." Her heart was pounding so hard she thought it might burst. Every instinct she'd been raised with screamed at her to leave. This was sin. This was wrong. This would destroy everything she believed about herself. But another voice, quieter, deeper, more honest, whispered different words. "This is what you've always wanted. This is freedom. This is finally living." "I choose this," she whispered. "I choose you." Something flickered in his eyes. Triumph, yes, but also something softer. Something almost like tenderness. "Then we do this my way," he said quietly. "You trust me. You tell me if anything is too much. And you understand that after tonight, you won't be the same person who walked in here." She nodded, her throat too tight for words. He picked her up effortlessly, and she wrapped her legs around his waist instinctively. He carried her to the leather couch, sitting down with her straddling his lap. "First lesson," he said, his hands settling on her hips. "Your body isn't something to be ashamed of. It's beautiful, powerful, and it's yours to share or withhold as you choose." His fingers found the zipper at the back of her dress. "May I?" The fact that he asked, that he was giving her control even as she surrendered it, made her feel safer than she'd expected. "Yes." He unzipped slowly, his knuckles grazing her spine, and she shivered. The dress loosened, and he slid the sleeves down her arms, revealing the white lace bra she'd agonized over choosing. His sharp intake of breath made her feel powerful for the first time in her life. "Beautiful," he murmured, his fingers tracing the edge of the lace. "And all this," his hand moved to her racing heart, "this fear mixed with excitement, this is what passion feels like, Amara. This is what they tried to take from you." He leaned forward, pressing a kiss just above her bra, and she gasped. "I'm going to teach you your own body," he said against her skin. "Every place that brings you pleasure, every sensation that makes you feel alive." His mouth moved lower, and Amara lost herself completely. "I know what you're thinking right now. Drop a comment. Is this empowerment or destruction? Team freedom or team faith? And if you're loving this raw, honest storytelling, smash that like button. We're not even halfway through what happens tonight." Hours later, or maybe just minutes, Amara had lost all sense of time. She lay against Ryu's chest on the couch, her dress still bunched around her waist, his shirt unbuttoned. They hadn't gone all the way. He'd been clear about that boundary, respecting that she wasn't ready despite her willingness. But he'd shown her other things. His hands, his mouth, the ways her body could respond that she'd never imagined. She'd experienced pleasure so intense she'd actually cried, and he'd held her through it, whispering words in Japanese that sounded like poetry. Now, in the aftermath, reality was creeping back in. "What have I done?" she whispered. His hand stroked her hair gently. "You've taken the first step toward living authentically." "I betrayed everything I believe in." "Did you? Or did you finally honor what you truly believe instead of what you were told to believe?" She sat up, looking at him. His face was softer now, the dangerous edge replaced with something almost vulnerable. "How many women have you done this with?" she asked. He didn't flinch from the question. "Many. I won't lie to you, Amara. I've lived a life without restrictions or moral boundaries." "And what am I to you? Just another conquest?" "No." His answer was immediate, firm. "You're different." "How?" He was quiet for a long moment, his jaw working like he was struggling with something. "Because you make me feel things I thought I'd buried long ago," he said finally. "Guilt, conscience, the desire to be better than I am." She didn't know what to say to that. "My mother was religious," he continued, his voice distant. "Korean Christian. She tried to raise me with faith despite my father's world. She died when I was 12. My father, the Yakuza boss, he trained the religion out of me, taught me that morality was weakness, that power was all that mattered." He looked at her then, and she saw something raw in his eyes. "But when I look at you, I remember her prayers. I remember believing that goodness existed. You make me want to be the man she hoped I'd become instead of the man my father created." Amara's heart clenched. "Then leave that life, choose something different." His laugh was bitter. "It's not that simple. I was born into this world. There's no escape." "There's always a choice." "Not for men like me." He stood, beginning to button his shirt. "But you still have choices, Amara. You can walk away from this. Go back to your church, your mission, your faith. Forget tonight happened." "Can you forget?" "No." His eyes met hers. "I'll carry tonight for the rest of my life, but that doesn't mean you have to." She stood, adjusting her dress, her mind spinning. "I don't know what I want anymore." "Then figure it out. Take time. Pray if that helps you. But know this." He stepped closer, his hand cupping her face. "Whatever you decide, I'll respect it. If you walk away, I won't follow. If you come back, I'll be here." He kissed her forehead gently, a gesture so tender it made her want to cry. "Your Bible," he said, retrieving it from the floor and placing it in her hands. "Take it. Go home, think." The next morning, Amara stood in the church sanctuary long before anyone else arrived, staring at the cross above the altar. She'd spent the entire night alternating between praying and crying, begging God for clarity she couldn't find. She felt different, changed, like something essential had shifted inside her. The worst part, she didn't regret it. She knew she should. Knew she should feel shame, remorse, desperate repentance. Instead, she felt alive, awake, like she'd been sleepwalking through her entire life and had finally opened her eyes. "Amara-san." She turned to find Reverend Tanaka, entering the sanctuary. "I couldn't sleep," she said, which was true enough. He sat beside her in the front pew. "Something troubles you." "Everything," she wanted to say. "My entire worldview is crumbling." "Reverend," she said carefully, "have you ever questioned your faith?" He smiled gently. "Every day." She blinked. "Really?" "Faith without questions is not faith. It's just obedience. True faith wrestles with doubt, with complexity, with the difficult questions." "What if," she hesitated, "what if everything we've been taught about sin and righteousness is too simple? What if it's more complicated than just following rules?" What prompted this question? She couldn't tell him, couldn't confess, but she needed wisdom. "I met someone," she said carefully. "Someone who challenges everything I believe. Someone who makes me question whether I've been living authentically or just performing expectations." Reverend Tanaka was quiet for a long moment. I cannot tell you how to live, Amara-san, but I can tell you this. God gave you a mind to think, a heart to feel, and a will to choose. Any faith that requires you to deny those things is not true faith. It's control. His words hit her like a thunderbolt. Your father is a good man, Reverend continued. But perhaps his faith is his faith, not yours. Perhaps it's time you discovered what you truly believe, separate from what you were taught to believe. Tears streamed down her face. I'm scared. Of what? Of who I might become if I'm honest with myself. Perhaps you're scared of who you've always been, but were never allowed to be. Pause. If this is hitting you in the feels right now, drop a comment, I felt that, and smash that subscribe button. We're about to get to the part where everything explodes. You ready? 3 days passed. 3 days of Amara going through the motions at church while her mind remained in that VIP room, replaying every touch, every word, every sensation. She didn't contact Ryu. He didn't contact her. But she felt his presence like a ghost, haunting every prayer, every Bible verse, every moment of silence. On the 4th day, her father called from Ghana. My daughter, how is Tokyo treating you? The sound of his voice, so familiar, so loving, made guilt crash over her in waves. It's good, Papa. The work is going well. I'm proud of you, Amara. You're doing God's work, staying pure and focused despite all the temptations of that city. She closed her eyes, the lie tasting bitter. Papa, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think, she struggled for words, do you think God's will for our lives can be different from what we were raised to believe it is? Silence, then, where is this coming from? I'm just thinking about things, questioning things. Questioning is dangerous, Amara. His voice hardened. The devil uses questions to lead us astray. You must resist these thoughts. But what if the questions are valid? What if... Amara, he cut her off, his tone brooking no argument. You made a pledge, to God, to our church, to our family. You promised to remain pure until marriage, to live according to Scripture, to be an example to others. Are you telling me you're considering breaking that pledge? She wanted to scream, wanted to tell him that his rules had left her feeling empty and lost. That meeting Ryu had awakened something she didn't know existed. That maybe, just maybe, his version of faith wasn't the only valid one. But she couldn't. The weight of his expectations, of her entire community's expectations, pressed down on her like a physical force. No, Papa, she heard herself say. I'm not breaking any pledges. Good, remember, Amara, the path of righteousness is narrow. Most people choose the wide path that leads to destruction, but you're stronger than that. You're my daughter. After they hung up, Amara sat in her room for hours, staring at nothing. She was being torn in two. Part of her wanted to run back to Ryu, to explore this new world he'd shown her, to discover who she could be without the chains of expectation. But the other part, the part that had been carefully cultivated over 21 years, whispered that she was throwing away her salvation for temporary pleasure, that she was disappointing everyone who believed in her, that she was proving every fear her father had about sending her to Tokyo. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number, though she knew immediately who it was. I'm not pressuring you, but if you want to talk, I'm at Shinjuku Gion National Garden, East Gate. I'll be here until sunset. Amara stared at the message, her heart racing. This was it, the moment of choice. She could ignore the text, block the number, throw herself deeper into church work and try to forget. Return to Ghana in 5 months with her purity intact and her father proud. Or she could go to him, continue down this path, accept that she was changing, becoming someone different from who she'd always been told she should be. For 20 minutes, she sat frozen. Then she stood, grabbed her bag, and walked out the door. Comment right now. Is she making the right choice? Team Ryu or Team Church? Let me know, and hit that like button if your heart is racing like mine is. Shinjuku Gion was beautiful, a massive garden in the heart of Tokyo, with traditional Japanese landscaping, cherry trees, and peaceful paths. Amara found Ryu sitting on a bench near a koi pond, dressed casually in jeans and a simple black shirt. He looked different here, less dangerous, more human. He stood when he saw her approaching, but didn't smile, just waited. "I shouldn't be here," she said when she reached him. "But you are." "I can't do this, Ryu. I can't be what you want me to be." "I don't want you to be anything except honest with yourself." "You don't understand. I have obligations, family, faith, a whole community depending on me to perform," he interrupted gently. "To be their perfect example, to sacrifice your own desires for their comfort. That's not fair. Isn't it true?" She couldn't answer. He stepped closer. "I'm not asking you to abandon your faith, Amara. I'm asking you to examine whether what you call faith is actually just fear. Fear of disappointing people, fear of being yourself, fear of living. And what are you offering instead? A life of crime, of violence, of empty pleasure." His jaw tightened. "I never said I was offering you a life with me. I'm offering you freedom to choose your own path. Maybe that path leads back to church. Maybe it leads somewhere else, but it should be your choice, not theirs. You're trying to corrupt me. I'm trying to free you." He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "But I'll tell you something true, Amara, something I probably shouldn't admit. You've gotten under my skin. I think about you constantly. Wonder if you're okay. Hope you're finding peace with whatever you decide. And that terrifies me because I don't let people matter to me. It's too dangerous in my world." Her breath caught. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that maybe we're both changing each other. You make me want redemption, and I make you want freedom. Maybe neither of us is the same person we were before that bathroom." Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't know how to do this, how to reconcile who I was with who I'm becoming." "You don't have to reconcile them. You just have to be honest about both." They stood there in the garden, the Tokyo skyline visible in the distance. Two people from completely different worlds trying to bridge an impossible gap. "Come with me," he said suddenly. "Where?" "To meet someone who might help you understand." 20 minutes later, they stood outside a small church in a quiet Tokyo neighborhood. Not a big international church like where Amara volunteered, but a tiny Korean Christian church with services in multiple languages. "Why are we here?" she asked. "You'll see." Inside, an elderly Korean woman was arranging flowers at the altar. When she saw Ryu, her entire face lit up. "Ryuya!" She rushed over, speaking rapid Korean mixed with Japanese, pulling him into a hug. Ryu hugged her back, and Amara saw something she never expected. His eyes grew wet. "This is Reverend Park," he said in English. "She knew my mother. She's been trying to save my soul for 16 years. The old woman turned to Amara, her eyes sharp but kind. "And who is this?" "Someone like me," Amara said quietly, "caught between two worlds." Reverend Park nodded knowingly. "Come, sit, let me tell you a story." They sat in the front pew, and the Reverend settled beside them. "Ryu's mother, Misun, was my dearest friend," she began. "She married a terrible man, Ryu's father, but she loved her son more than life itself. She prayed for him every day, made me promise to look after him when she died." She took Ryu's hand. "I have watched this boy struggle. He does terrible things, yes. He lives in darkness because his father trained him to. But inside," she placed a hand over his heart, "inside is still the boy who prayed with his mother, who believed in redemption." She turned to Amara. "And you, child, you struggle too, between the faith you were given and the life you want to live. How did you?" "I see it in your eyes, the guilt, the confusion, the fear." She smiled gently. "Let me tell you something true. God does not want robots who follow rules without thinking. He wants humans who wrestle with questions, who struggle with choices, who grow through mistakes." "But the Bible says..." "The Bible says many things. Some people use it to control. Some use it to condemn. Some use it to free." She squeezed Amara's hand. "Your father uses it to protect you, yes, but protection can become prison." Amara's tears flowed freely now. "I don't know what's right anymore." "Then stop asking what's right. Ask what's true. True to who you are, true to what you feel, True to what you believe deep in your spirit, not what you were taught to believe. Reverend Park stood slowly. I will pray for you both, separately and together, because I think maybe God brought you together not to destroy each other, but to help each other find truth. She walked away, leaving them alone in the quiet church. Ryu was silent for a long moment. Then, she's the only person who's never given up on me. Even when I've done unforgivable things, she keeps praying, keeps believing I can change. Can you? Amara whispered. I don't know, my world doesn't allow for redemption. Once you're in for life. But, he looked at her, meeting you makes me want to try, makes me wonder if there's a way out that doesn't end in blood. What are you saying? I'm saying that maybe we're both at crossroads. You're choosing between obligation and authenticity. I'm choosing between my father's legacy and my mother's prayers. He took her hand. We can't save each other, but maybe we can stand together while we save ourselves. Drop a chills comment if you felt that moment. And if you're not subscribed, I don't even know what you're doing. Subscribe now because this ending is going to blow your mind. 2 months passed. Amara made her choice, though choice felt too simple for what actually happened. She didn't leave her faith, but she redefined it. She continued working at the church, but started questioning doctrines that didn't align with the God she was coming to know, a God of love and grace, not rules and condemnation. She and Ryu continued seeing each other, though their relationship defied easy categorization. Some nights they talked for hours about philosophy and faith. Some nights they explored physical intimacy, slowly, carefully, with boundaries they set together. Some nights they just sat in silence, finding peace in each other's presence. She told no one. Not her father, not Reverend Tanaka, not Akasua. This was hers, private, sacred in its own complicated way. Ryu began making changes too. Small ones at first, pulling back from some of his father's more violent operations, using his Harvard education to legitimize parts of the family business, secretly funding the church where Reverend Park ministered. I'm not redeemed, he told Amara one night. I'm still doing things that would horrify you. But I'm trying to be less of a monster. That's something. It's everything, she replied. But their fragile equilibrium couldn't last forever. The call came at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. It was Kenji, Ryu's assistant, his voice tight with urgency. Miss Mensa, there's been an incident. Ryu is in the hospital. He asked for you. Amara's blood turned to ice. What happened? His father discovered his modifications to family business. It didn't go well. I can't say more on the phone. Can you come? She was dressed and out the door in 3 minutes. The hospital was across Tokyo. The cab ride felt eternal. When she arrived, Kenji met her in the lobby, his face grim. How bad? She asked. Bad enough. His father beat him severely. Ryu fought back. Things escalated. He looked at her seriously. Miss Mensa, after tonight, there's no going back for him. He's made an enemy of his own father. In our world, that's a death sentence. Her heart stopped. What are you saying? I'm saying Ryu is planning to leave. Cut ties with the family completely. It means giving up everything, his inheritance, his protection, his identity. It means becoming a marked man. Why would he do that? Kenji's smile was sad. I think you know why. She found Ryu in a private room, his face bruised, ribs wrapped, one arm in a sling. But when he saw her, he smiled. You came. Of course I came, you idiot. She sat beside his bed, taking his good hand. Kenji said you're leaving the family. I am. Because of me. Because of me. He squeezed her hand gently. You didn't change me, Amara. You just reminded me that I wanted to change, that I could be something other than my father's weapon. Where will you go? I have money hidden offshore. Contacts will help. I'll disappear for a while, let things cool down. Maybe South America, maybe Europe. He paused. And then maybe I'll come back as someone new. How long? A year, maybe 2. His eyes searched hers. I can't ask you to wait, that's not fair. But you want me to. I want you to live your life, finish your mission work, go back to Ghana if that's where your path leads, Figure out who Amara Mensa is apart from your father, apart from your church, apart from me. He touched her face gently. But if, when I come back, you're still searching for what we found together, I'll find you. She kissed him then, despite his bruised lips, despite the tears streaming down both their faces, despite everything. I love you, she whispered. I don't know how it happened or when, but I do. I know. His smile was bittersweet. I love you too. First time I've said those words and meant them. Of course it's to the one person I can't keep. You will keep me. In a year, 2 years, whenever, I'll be here. Don't promise that. Don't limit yourself for me. I'm not limiting myself. I'm choosing myself. And I choose this. I choose you. I choose us, whatever that looks like. They held each other until dawn, until Kenji came to tell them it was time for Ryu to leave. At the door, Ryu turned back one last time. You saved me, Amara. The preacher's daughter saved the Yakuza prince. Who would have thought? We saved each other, she corrected. And then he was gone. Final THOUGHTS, subscribe if you haven't already because I need to know. Do you think they'll find each other again? Drop "they will" or "it's over" in the comments. And tell me, did Amara make the right choice? Did Ryu? Let's discuss. 6 months later, Amara sat in her father's office in Ghana, having returned home after completing her mission work. You've changed, Pastor David observed, studying his daughter. I have, she agreed. Tokyo changed you. Life changed me. She met his eyes steadily. I'm not the girl you sent to Japan, Papa. I questioned things. I struggled. I made choices you wouldn't approve of. She waited for disappointment, for anger. Instead, her father smiled sadly. I know. I could hear it in your voice on every call, and I was terrified I was losing you. You're not losing me. I'm just finding myself. And what did you find? That faith and obedience aren't the same thing. That God is bigger than the box we tried to keep him in. That love, real love, is messy and complicated and doesn't fit into neat categories. Her father was quiet for a long time. Then, your mother would be proud of you. Amara's eyes widened. Her mother had died when she was 5. Her father rarely spoke of her. Your mother questioned everything too, he continued. Challenged me constantly, made me think deeper about what I believed and why. When she died, I think I tried to protect you from her fire, keep you safe by making your faith simple, clear, rule-based. He reached across the desk, taking her hand. But that wasn't fair to you. You're her daughter. You were always meant to burn bright, not hide your light. Tears streamed down Amara's face. So whatever happened in Tokyo, whoever happened in Tokyo, I trust you navigated it with integrity, with thought, with prayer, and I trust that God was with you through it all. Thank you, Papa. Will you tell me about him? She smiled through her tears. Someday, when the story is finished. And when will that be? When he comes back. You believe he will. I know he will. 18 months after that hospital goodbye, Amara was teaching English at her father's school in Accra when a stranger walked into her classroom. Except he wasn't a stranger. Ryu Nakamura, though he introduced himself to her students as Mr. Kim, stood in her doorway, dressed simply in khakis and a button-down shirt, looking nothing like the dangerous crime prince she'd known. Her heart stopped. After class, they stood in the school courtyard, not touching, just looking at each other. You found me, she said. I promised I would. You're different. I'm trying to be. He smiled, that same devastating smile. I've spent the last 1.5 years becoming someone new, someone who might deserve you. I'm consulting now, helping businesses with their international operations. Legitimate businesses. I'll never be completely clean, but I'm closer than I was. And your father believes I'm dead. It's better that way. They walked through the school grounds, catching up, filling in the gaps. So what now? She asked finally. Now I ask if there's room in your life for a reformed criminal trying to find redemption. And if I say yes, then we take this slow. We figure out how to build something real, not just based on intensity and forbidden passion. We introduce me to your father. His smile turned nervous. which terrifies me more than anything in my old life ever did. We see if what we had was just proximity and rebellion, or if it's actually love. It's love, Amara said firmly. I spent 18 months trying to convince myself it wasn't. Doesn't work. Me either. She took his hand, in public in her father's school, claiming him openly. My students will gossip, she said. Let them. My father will interrogate you. I'm prepared. My church will judge us. Let them judge. He brought her hand to his lips. I've been judged my whole life, but you see me, really see me, that's all that matters. They stood there in the Ghanaian sunshine, the preacher's daughter and the reformed Yakuza prince, two impossible people who'd found each other in the dark and chosen to walk into the light together. Thank you, Ryu said quietly. For what? For being brave enough to question everything, for seeing me when I was still a monster, for loving me into becoming something better. Thank you for showing me I was allowed to be human, that faith and desire aren't enemies, that I could honor my beliefs while still honoring myself. He kissed her then, soft and reverent, and it felt like a promise. They didn't have all the answers, didn't know if this would work long-term, didn't know how they'd navigate their drastically different worlds. But they had each other, they had honesty, they had love earned through struggle and choice. And sometimes that's enough. The end. So there it is, the complete story of Amara and Ryu. Drop your final thoughts in the comments. Did they get the ending they deserved? Would you have made the same choices? And make sure you're subscribed because I have more stories coming that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Hit that like button if this story moved you. Share it with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to question, to struggle, to choose your own path. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.